Be designing some really cool packaging for a perfume brand, so make sure to stay tuned. Hello everyone, so nice to have you here. I can see there's already a couple people here. Welcome to my channel, and again, my name is Julia Masalska. On Instagram you can find me at Just Another Sunny Girl, and this is my channel. Usually I talk about freelancing and designing, but I wanted to get more into design tutorials and how to do things in Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign and other Adobe software. So yeah, welcome, and let me know if you guys can leave comments in the chat. I believe I turned them on, but I'm not quite sure yet. So let's see. So in the background you can see we already have some interesting inspiration for today's project. So as you can see, there is a lot of gradients here, a very modern type of design. So yeah. And this is my Instagram page if you guys are interested in following me on Instagram. It's Just Another Sunny Girl on Instagram. So I'm very excited to be online today for the first time, and I mean to be live today for the first time, and really excited to see how this comes out and how you guys are liking it. So let me know if you have any comments, any tips, or any cool tricks for being live. All right, let's switch to my work screen. Oh, we are here already. So today, as you can see, this was the file that I've prepared for the inspiration. Lots of gradients, modern design, and I already have the bottle that I want to put the design on. So basically, we're going to cover this surface over here with a custom design that I'm gonna also prototype in the end. I have my printer here set up, so it's gonna be exciting. All right, so for all of you guys who are new here or who are new to designing, I'll just start over with creating a file, how to set it up, and just gonna prepare the file for this label here. First of all, what I'm gonna do is I would like to measure it, or let me just I don't have any ruler here, but let me just guess this is gonna be around 3 by 3 inch. So what you want to do is first you want to measure your I forgot my ruler. Anyway, so first you want to measure your surface that you want to put a label on. It can be a bottle, it can be anything you want to put a label on. First what you do is measuring. So for example, I have here about, let's say 2.5 inch by 3 inch. So if I want to create a new file, I go here on top in Illustrator. Of course, you have to download Illustrator first if you don't have it. You go on File, New, and here you can create a new file, name it Perfume Label. Okay, and here at the top you have good options already. So depending on what type of publishing you want to do, you can publish for web, for print, or for film and video. In this case, it's going to be print. So I'm going to choose inches so I can put in my measurements for my label. So here I will put 2.5 by 3 inch height. And we're gonna do, let's stick with one artboard for now. But if I'm doing a logo design, I'm creating about 10 or 20 of them. So I already have my artboards set up, and I can just copy paste my design and alter it and create variations like that. So now if you're creating a document for print, what you want to do is you want to leave a little bleed, because a bleed is basically a little frame around your artwork that is an extension of your artwork for later cutting the print. So what you want to do is you want to leave 0.125 inch bleed on all the sides, So basically we have a little frame around our artwork where we can extend the picture to or background to, you know, so the printer prints it a little bit larger than it actually is. So then after cutting, you don't have any white edges and everything's nice and precise. So usually what it does here, this little chain symbol, it basically updates all the sides with one size. But if you unclick it, then you can change, for example, the bleed at the top and at the bottom to be bigger. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at 0.125 for now. Advanced options, you can also choose the color mode here. Of course, for digital print, we always want to stick to CMYK mode. And if you are publishing on the web or on the mobile, you usually use RGB mode. So here we'll just leave everything as it is. And very important for the print is also that you leave the raster effects at 300 points per inch. So it's basically in the end how much quality the print will have. So you want to stick at least with 300. For digital publishing, you can use 150 or 70, even 75 dots per inch. All right, preview mode, that's fine. Just leave it like that. All right, let's take a look at our file. As you can see, we already have this little red frame, which is our bleed frame around our artwork. So actually, this white sheet is our artwork, and then we extend all the images and all the backgrounds until the red frame. So for example, if I want to start creating a surface here, let's say it is a color background, right? So this is what I do. I extend it until this red line. So later on, my print will go until here, and I will cut until here. I hope you guys are all understanding everything well. And I don't see any comments yet. I believe they might be off, but I have to check for later how to turn them on. Anyway, so let's just jump into the design. Let's take a look at our inspiration board. Here we have a lot of gradients, as you can see, right? And we have these very soft color tones that kind of go into the white. I think white is a great color, you know, to take as a base because it creates a great contrast, and you know, using the gradient kind of makes it more playful. So let's try and experiment with some colors. For colors, of course, I'm not gonna leave this black. It was just an example for you guys to understand how we're going to be proceeding with the design. So what I can do here is, for example, there is a little, first of all, I want to recommend you something here on the sidebar. You can set up your sidebar as you wish, but I think it's really cool to use this properties panel. I thought it was always very helpful because if you, for example, click on this object here, right? It's just a surface, a rectangle. The properties panel always shows you only the options that you need for this specific object. If we, for example, take a text box over here, if you look at on the right, the properties panel adjusted to this text box. So it shows you character styles, it shows you paragraph styles, it shows you colors for your text. So I think this properties panel usually is a very good, you know, way to get your options right. If you don't have the properties panel on the right side already, what you can do is you can go up here onto to window, and you go here onto properties and click it. So the properties panel will then appear on your window, and you can just link it onto your panel up here. So what else I have? I have colors, I have swatches, I have color libraries or you know, asset libraries. Those libraries are actually really good if you want to go across different software. So for example, if I use this design right here and want to apply it onto a 3D model in Dimension, I can take my whole design up here. This is not a design yet, but I can take this design and I can create a new library, and I can call it, for example, Perfume Create. So I have an empty library here, and what I can do is I can not only drop these elements here, in the library. All right. So we have this element right here already, and if when we open Dimension, we can access those elements. It can be color, it can be typeface. For example, this one, I can, if I just drag and drop it in here into the library. Okay, all right. Then I have my artwork here. I can also drop any kind of colors, typefaces, icons, any kind of vector graphics, and use it across the Adobe softwares. So, all right, so let's get into this little inspiration here. So what I want to do is, I might want to go and check out some inspirations online. So what I do is I go onto my, I'm gonna use Safari for now. Come on. Right, where's my Safari? There it is. All right, so if we go into color.adobe.com, I think it's a very great source for color inspiration. And not only you can create your own, color palette over here, and you can also extract themes from a picture, for example. You can just drag and drop the picture here, and it gives you a really nice color palette extracted from this picture. You can also extract gradients. This is a new feature. But what I really like is, I really like to go either to this page where it's about exploration, or I like to go to this page where it's about trends. So here, for example, I have different categories. I have fashion, graphic design, illustration, and so on. So depending on what you're designing, for example, my label today will be very fashion inspired. So I'll go on to fashion and take a look at the different color palettes here. And I think there is a lot of really cool ones. For example, this one from Adidas, I can just simply add it to my library. If I click edit, add to library, it's already added to my Perfume library. And if I go back to Illustrator, the same color palette appears on in my libraries already. So this is a really great tool I can recommend you guys using. All right, and then let's see what else we can get inspired from. I really like these color tones here, these greenish tones. We might be able to use those as well. Add to library. Okay, now let's get back to graphic design. Let me see what graphic design has to offer here. Okay, so let's see. There is a bunch of different color tones here, which I really like actually. So I might go for this one also with more natural tones. Okay, add to library. And again, this color palette appears here in my Illustrator already. So what we can do, how we can use this library is we just click on our surface that is filled with color, and we can just click on any of those colors inside the library. It's super, super easy. We can just use those color tones right away. So really cool tool for you guys to use. All right, so let's get this going here. Let's try and do a little gradient here. Let's take a look at don't forget to look at your inspiration panel just to remind yourself on what exactly you were about to design. So I think this is very interesting here. Some kind of I think it's more like a painting, maybe a digital painting here, or just a gradient that was modified. All right, let me see over here. Let me just go and make it a gradient. We go on to gradient tool over here, and here we can edit the gradient. For example, let's see. Okay, let's check this out. Okay, so here we can really edit the gradient. We can turn it around, try to put it the way we need it to. Let's say like this. Let's turn it a little bit more so it's kind of more symmetric. All right. Now let's pick this color here. All right, let's see if that really works. So if I click onto my... Okay, there we go. I could just take the color from my little palette here. And now we have a very subtle gradient, which I think works really, really well with what I want to do. And now let's take a look how we can adjust the gradient a little bit more. So for example, I want to bring more color in here, you know, make it more contrasty, so I can really use white type on top of this and still have a nice contrast. All right, yeah, this already looks like something. Let's bring this box up here, up to the red line again. So again, guys, it's really important to have this little space around it for print. It's really, really important, especially if you have something like magazines, brochures, books, you know, everywhere you have to leave this little bleed on the sides. And usually the bleed is 0.1 to 5 inch if it's smaller prints. If it's larger prints like billboards or anything like that, or big posters, you usually leave 0.25 inch space. Yeah, of course, depending on the size. If it's something really huge, you want to leave as much space as needed. So yeah, let's go ahead and look for typefaces. Okay, for that, again, I really recommend you go to fonts.adobe.com, and here we have our typefaces that we can just add to our CC fonts. All right, so let's go into browse fonts. Here you have a bunch of options that you can pick. So I would like to go for a sans serif because it's gonna be more like a modern style, you know, packaging. And oh, this is really good actually. Oh, I have still some. Let's put. Okay, so what's our perfume name? Let's say it's called Diana Perfume. Let's make it in caps. Oops. And here you can see that you can type a sample text, and you can also adjust the text size just to have a better preview for yourself if you want to use the typeface for a logo, for example. I think this one is really great. It looks very classy, and I think it will work with our design. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open the font family. As you can see, there's different typefaces here, and I can pick some of them, and also I can activate all the 14 fonts. So when I activate those, as you can see, all of them are now activated. They have to save to my library right now, but let me write this down real quick. Quiche Sans. All right, so we have this one, and now let's take a look at other ones. I want to have a little variety of typefaces that I want to use. This one is also really cool. Zeitung means newspaper in German. All right, let's view this family. And thanks, guys, for staying here and tuning in. So much fun. All right. I wish the chat would work, but I'll promise I'll set it up for next time. All right, maybe you can also leave some comments, or not, maybe not. Okay, so let's check this out. Usually I'm not gonna go for any italic typefaces like this because, you know, they're more difficult to read, and I'm just gonna go for something simple like this one, Pro Regular. I'm not gonna activate all of these because I really don't need, I think they might be like 20 typefaces here in this family. So I'm just gonna go ahead and activate these two. Zeitung. Okay, let me see. Now, when we go to our panel here, and we're gonna look for Zeitung, and we have all these typefaces already here. Isn't that great? So let's see, let's take a look what we have. Ooh, this is also interesting here. Zeitung Pro, yeah, regular. Let's see what else we have. Let's look again for Zeitung. Okay. Yeah, I think they're about to activate themselves, but let's go back and look for the other typeface that we had, which is Quiche or something. Quiche. Oh, there we go. Here we have all the family of those Quiche typefaces that we picked. And the cool thing is here, usually in any other software, you're not able to see how the typeface looks like. You only have the name, which I think is so confusing because you have to go through all the typefaces, select them, and then view them before you can really make a decision. Here, it's actually really, really cool. Let's go for this one. This looks really good here. Okay, ooh, I like this actually. Let's pick one more that's a little bit more bold. So let's pick the bold one. And okay, so here our lorem ipsum, we're going to replace with, what was it, Diana, right? Diana is our perfume name. Okay, and now we can see that the bold typeface already works way better than the thinner one. The thinner one is pretty difficult to read, but let's just increase the size and see how this behaves. So to increase the size, you can either go here onto the properties panel, and here you will find the size, the typeface size that you can pick, or you can also just go ahead, we can go ahead and make those outlined. That's Command Shift and O, and now we only have vectors. We are not really able to change the typeface anymore, but that's okay. Now we can just easily transform that typeface. Okay, you don't want to do this. Don't do this. Okay, and don't do that. Usually people who design typefaces, they get really upset if their typefaces are, you know, being modified like that. And let's just keep the proportions here. And to keep the proportions while scaling it, you hold Shift and then the proportions will stay, right? So I think I might, let me try this out. Okay, Diana. Okay, that doesn't look too bad actually. Since the size is increased now, it doesn't look too bad. But let's try the bolder one. Okay, and the good thing is here, since you already outlined everything, you can just easily adjust the kerning here. If you double click on this, you can just select the single letters and, you know, increase a little bit of space, give some breathing room, so it's easier to read, you know, easier to comprehend. It's more easy on the brain if you don't have too much you know, color at once. So let's zoom out. I usually, when I do this, when I do adjust the kerning, I zoom out and I see, okay, there is a lot of space between the A and the N, and same here. So let me go ahead and move these a little closer, and this A also a little closer, and maybe the N's also a little closer together. Ooh, you know what? Let me try this. Ooh, that looks good. I like this. Okay, all right, we have our logo. You guys, usually when I design a logo for a brand like this, it's usually, you know, it's usually a lot of variations. I usually do about like 50, 60 variations. From there, I pick one, not one, but about like 3 to 5 directions for concepts that I want to continue working on. From there, I create a second variation, or a second amount of variations, and from there, you know, you kind of get closer to what you want and what the company needs. So yeah, this is actually already looking pretty good. All right, cool. All right, so this one goes away now. Command X. And all right, so we have our typeface here, our little logo. Maybe we wanna make it a little smaller. And okay, I can already kind of imagine what it's gonna be, what it's gonna look like. Okay, so to center this, to make it exactly in the center, put it exactly in the center of our label, you can go ahead and select the background and the logo, then click again on the background, which makes the background the key object. So everything will move except for the key object. We don't want our background to move, so that's why we made it the key object. And now you, in the properties panel, you will get this alignment panel where you can align it, center align it. That's what it's named. Okay, this is already looking pretty good. Let me see. I think I might want to move it just a little bit to the right, just because this A kind of creates a lot of white space on the right side. And as you can see, this looks like as if it's more than here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just do this one click, and now it's optically more in the center. All right, this is coming out pretty good. Now let's dive more into. Let me actually move this eye a little bit more. Actually, just a tiny bit. Okay. All right, looks better. All right, and then this is gonna be called Eau de Perfume. Eau de Perfume. Eau de Perfume. Also, if you want to adjust the kerning before you outline, you can go ahead and actually it's called tracking. Sorry, kerning is more letter to letter. Tracking is all the letters together, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so here let's go for 100, but we are going to decrease the typeface size to about 10. And we're going to, for more of sans serif typeface, maybe something like this, but not quite as bold. The Perfume, I think this is quite tall for me, so I want to go for something more, more, yeah, this looks good. Yeah, this could work, actually. Our box here is quite big, so I'm just going to make it smaller so it's easier to work with. Let's try another typeface, or actually let's try caps. Oh, a quick thing to make something like this caps. You also have character styles here at the bottom. If you click on those three dots, you have an option to put everything in caps. So if you click that, you already have everything in all caps. That means if you, for example, have a larger text or anything and you want to have it in caps suddenly, you don't want to delete the whole text and type it all over again. So, all right, I think this looks pretty good, but I am going to increase this, to a little bit more. And I'm going to decrease the size. Yep, that's good. Okay, I don't think I will need this. I'll put this here at the bottom, and I'm gonna outline this. Command Shift and O, bam. So now these are single vectors here. It's not something you can adjust anymore as a font, right? So this is now actually a graphic. So now let's center. Actually, let's make this a little bit smaller. Okay. And usually, what you want to do is when you create a layout like this, is you want to make the more important information stand out, right? So here, what we want to highlight is the logo, the name, the brand of the perfume. And then, of course, it is a perfume, we almost already know, but there is different types of perfume, right? There's eau de toilette and whatever. So let's center all of this. I'm gonna select all of these three objects, and I'm gonna make our little frame, so our background, the key object. And now I'm gonna go again to center align this, and I moved my logo back. I'm just gonna go back one click. There we go. All right, this is already looking like a snack. Just kidding. All right, so what type of information for women? Okay, yeah, we need to know that it's for women. For women. women. There we go. Or for her, let's put for her. And because I have this typeface in all caps over here, if I don't unclick it, it's going to be in all caps whatever I type. So just make sure to know where to adjust it. Let's see if we can. The cool thing is here, it's a variable concept. That means if you click this little variable font button here, you can really adjust the weight manually. So there's so many options of this typeface that you really have these sliders that, you know, make this typeface more wide, and you can even make it slanted. So what we want to do is I wanted to add more weight and a little bit more width. Yeah, that should work. All right, so there is a couple of those typefaces. Acumen is one of those, which I think is super great. All right, for her. Now let's zoom out again. I almost think that this is a little bit too bold. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the thinner version of this. It's always a back and forth when you're designing. It's always a back and forth. You do one thing, then you go back, or you don't. Yeah, medium I think should work. Okay. Let's see. Does this work? Does this work? Okay, now let's do something cool here. You know, add some little bit more graphics, add a little bit more excitement to this label. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work with the blend tool, right? So the blend tool you can find here under Object, Blend. So for that, I'm going to create some object first. And I'm going to use the pencil tool. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to create a weird line. Just a line, doesn't matter how it looks. And I'm going to create a line that's slightly different. All right, actually, let me make this so we can see the line. All right, go back to the pen tool. And now we're gonna create something similar, but not quite. Okay, so excuse me. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is, first of all, I'm gonna make this a little bit less heavy. So I'm gonna go ahead and click here on the 0.25 point stroke width. And as you can see, it looks a little bit more female, a little bit more, you know, playful. And what I also want to do is I kind of want to change the color of this to, say this one, for example. So it doesn't really stand out, but it still creates some kind of texture underneath our, you know, our text here. So to create, excuse me, to create a blend. So a blend is basically creating steps in between those two lines. So what we're gonna do is here we're gonna go on blend, blend options, and we're gonna create the blend first, and then we're gonna go again onto blend options. Oh, never mind. Specified steps. Okay. I don't know why the preview is not available here. Okay, make. Okay, there we go. So we made a blend between those two lines. As you can see, there are like steps to transition from the top object to the bottom object. What we can also do is we can select this bottom object and we can put the opacity to 0. So then our blend will automatically apply the steps of the color as well. So we can create this beautiful pattern here in 0.1 seconds. And now we already have something to work with. So we can make this larger, you know, we can just play with this a little bit, and I can recommend you guys really playing with this tool. What you can also do is which I did practice for 36 days of type. Oh, this is actually really cool. It kind of points to for her. Oops. It kind of points to for her. It's kind of nice. All right. So what you can also do with this is, oh my gosh, there's so many things you can do with blending options. So for example, here I create a square and I create a circle, right? Let's make a little artboard over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. So now if I select these two, or let's make the circle actually a little bit smaller so there is a bigger contrast between the differences. All right, then I go to Object, Blend, Make. And now we have these steps between the circle and the square, which I think is super, super cool. And you can also, what I did is I selected a letter that was sans serif and a letter that was serif, and I created a blend, and it just looks really awesome. All right, let's remove this. Let's remove this and go back to our original artwork. So what we can also do is, now that since we have kind of like have this set up, we can experiment a little bit with the colors, you know, just to make sure that we really like this. And all right, I'm gonna place this logo a little bit further at the top just because there's so much white space around here. And here there's already something happening, so you don't want to overfill it at once, and you have to like, you can have a really nice flow between these objects. Let's try this like that, maybe. That's also kind of cool. So what you want to do is you want to make the person look in the right order or see things in the right order. So here, if I zoom out, the first thing I should see is the logo, which is this one, Diana, right? Then what we do is, so the thing is, when we read, it's very you know, organized by the brain. We read from left to right, and from top to bottom. So the most important information you also want to put further at the top. You don't want to put the most important information at the bottom. So that kind of helps the brain organize. Okay, this is Diana. This is the brand Diana. This is for her. This is early Perfume. And you know, you can really manipulate the viewer of your artwork by that. So, all right. Damn, I'm so excited to have you guys all here. Thank you so much again for joining. But unfortunately I cannot see any chat window here. I'll definitely have to adjust this for the future. All right. Okay, let's continue with this. Let's take over this art, or actually let's make this one a little bit more organized, and let's create just a regular rectangle that kind of goes all around our artwork. And I'm just gonna crop these lines so they don't go above our artwork, so we have a better imagination how this looks like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the rectangle without color, without anything that I just created. Actually, let me turn off the frame here. The outline was turned to color, but I don't want any color. I just want it to be a simple rectangle frame. So now I press Shift and I select my second object, which I want to kind of, crop and make a clipping mask of. So here now, since I already selected these two objects, I already have the option here of making a clipping mask. And now it looks more, it looks more real. It doesn't look like an Illustrator file anymore. It looks more of like, okay, this is a label. This is really what it is. This is the artwork. So, all right, so, excuse me. What I like to do is, I like to make copies of things and then just, try to make some experiments, adjust the colors, adjust the placement of the objects. So here, what I want to do is I just want to copy paste this artboard. I go onto artboards here. I click on this artboard tool and make sure that you have this one clicked, which says move artwork with artboard. Otherwise, if I unclick this and option select drag it, it only drags the artboard itself, not the artwork. But I do want to copy the artwork as well. So I am doing this. So again, to copy an artboard or copy anything in Illustrator, you press Option, click on the object, and drag it to the side. All right. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now we have a second variation. Let's try to change up the colors here a little bit. If we click on our background and if we go onto our gradients, let's actually, I know why it doesn't show me the gradient options, because the top layer I have is actually this frame of these fancy lines here. So I want to lock this so it doesn't disturb me. I can just select my background. So I press Command and 2, and now this top layer with these lines is locked, so it doesn't move at all. So now if I select something, it's going to be the background, right? Because the background is not locked. And here I already have the gradient, and I can go ahead and play with a gradient here. Hello. Show me. Oh, here. There we go. Edit gradient. Where is my window here? My window disappeared. Oh, actually it's here. Never mind. Okay. So let's go ahead and oh, never mind. Okay. I was on the frame. That's why it didn't show me anything. All right. So let's select this color here. And let's look at our libraries again and select this color, and then we can go ahead and maybe I think we can just click these and see. Ooh, I like this green. This green looks great. It looks so fresh. I made something gray. Blue I don't think is the right color. This is also pretty nice. Let's check out our okay, let's work with this for now. I might want to go with something like that, you know, a little bit more color. Why not? Also, I saw that it moved here a little bit. Oh, never mind, I just created a frame that an outline that I don't want. Okay, cool. Now we have two color variations. Now let's go ahead and make this one white. Let's make it white. Ooh, also interesting, huh? Looks a little bit more refreshing, and this quite minty color kind of, you know, presents this freshness. And now let me try and make those lines that I have here white. So what I want to do is I want to unlock my layer with the lines, and I press Command, Option, and 2, and my layer is already unlocked. So what I want to do here is, so since I selected the last one at the bottom to be transparent, right? I decrease the opacity to 0. I want to make the top one white. So the white opacity will also decrease to the bottom, which I don't want. I want this to be white and 0 opacity right there. Okay, now we have something a little bit different. Although we didn't do much, we just copy pasted it, just adjusted the colors a little bit. You know, it's really not much of a big deal. Now let's play with this, with these lines a little bit longer. Oh, never mind. So to play with our lines here, I'm gonna release the mask here, and I'm gonna, you know, just play around with them a little bit. Or you can also just double click, and that will also bring you into the mask. Look, that already looks a little bit different. That is kind of cool. I'm liking this. Just misplace things, experiment. Ooh, looks like a fresh breeze. Okay, now let's connect it back to let's make the clipping mask again, so it's nice and in the shape of our label. Cool, guys. We're almost coming to an end here. We only have 13 minutes left. All right, so let me try. Actually, let me move this a little bit to the top here for her. Yeah. Let me put this in white as well. Let me see how that looks. Okay, that does look cool. Let me try something else. How about we create it in this darker green color? Ooh, that's also kind of nice. Ooh, okay. I'm liking this. Cool. Yeah, let's print. Excuse me. Let's print these two out. I have to take a little zip of my green smoothie. All right. So let's print these two. So how do we print these? How do we export these files? First of all, what you want to do is you can either export these as a PNG. PNG is good enough for print. But to give you these options of, you know, the bleed and really to make it more precise for the print, you want to save it as a PDF file. For that, we are not going to export. We are going to, what I usually do is I save it as a copy. Save a copy. And now, here I can select PDF, right? We want to save it as a PDF. All right, and I want to save it to my desktop. Okay, and when I'm pressing save, it gives me different options here. Here I want to go on high quality print, right? If you want to send this file over to a client and it's just, you know, some kind of like test or some kind of draft that you made and you still want to export it for print, you want to go ahead, if you want to really send it in an email or something, you can pick the smallest file size. Sometimes files can get really, really large. So then it's really difficult, you know, to send them or to upload them somewhere. So here, since I'm only using it on my computer for now, I'm choosing high quality print. And here I am going onto marks and bleeds because I want to keep my bleeds, right? And I already preset them in my document. So I use document bleed settings and I go on to save PDF. Now let's take a look how this PDF looks like. All right. Okay, let me pull this over here. Oops, not like this. Let me go ahead and open this file so I can show it to you in the preview. Okay, so this is it. Look at that. This is our label. Now let's go ahead and print it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just select my file. There's different ways. If you have a Windows, there's also different ways. But I'm gonna go ahead and click print, and I have my printer right here. So I am not going to scale it to fit. Scale. I'm gonna do it 100%, just so it prints the exact size that I need. Okay, my printer should be on. All right, let's press print and see how it looks like. I also have my scissors ready so we can put it right on our bottle when it's printed. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the same thing. Actually, what I can also do is I can just print from here. That is totally possible. You can print. I'm gonna print only 2 of 2 because 1 of 2 I already exported with you guys. Okay, and I'm gonna print this one as well. There we go. Okay, I have prototype number 1 over here, and I'm gonna cut it out real quick. Bear with me. Again, this is just a prototype, so you don't have to be very precise in things. I think you can already get a really good imagination of what you have just by, you know, holding it to your product and seeing how it fits, how, you know, how the sizes are, if the text size is good enough for you to read. All right, so, all right, this already looks pretty neat. There we go. There we go. There we have our label printed. Hopefully you can see that. What I see here is that, for example, it's a little wide. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the edges a little bit more. So I have a little bit more space on the sides. Usually I would do it with a ruler and be a little bit more precise, but for this purpose, totally fine. Look at this. Oh yeah, there we go. There we have our label, and you can already kind of imagine how it looks like when it's really printed. And oh, look, it even sticks to the bottle. There we go. Not too bad. Sizes came out pretty good off the typeface. Now let's take a look at the green one. Since our bottle is kind of like dirty pinkish, it might look pretty good with this greenish color. So let's see. I would also love to know of you guys if you can recommend a nice printer. My printer is pretty good, but I would like to have something more professional to print stuff like this. And that's why it would be great if you can recommend me something. Okay, let's get rid of all these papers. Okay, this is also looking pretty good. Let me make it a little bit more straight to not embarrass myself here in front of you guys. Okay. You can also do this with a cutter on one of those cutting boards. That works too. Bam! Look at this. Kind of looks interesting. I kind of like this color. I feel like though, if you compare these two, which one you can read better? This one, right? It has more contrast, and the brand is really easier to read. So what I would do here now is I would go ahead and go back to my file. Now again, I want to make my file a little bit smaller, so I'm gonna go ahead and make our artboard a little bit slimmer right here. So if I click on Option and drag the sides to the middle, then the sides are getting dragged simultaneously. So I don't have to adjust that much anymore. All right, there we go. So now what I wanted to do is actually, I wanted to apply this dark font onto this green color. So I'm gonna remove this and this and this. And I'm gonna Command C, copy this, go back to our second artboard, Command Shift V, oops. Command Shift V. You need to make sure to select the artboard before you paste something in it. Okay, so now our artwork, let me outline this. It's a little bit shifted to the side just because I adjusted the size of my artboard. So obviously it's not the same as here anymore. So what I want to do is I want to center it again as we did before. Center. And now, again, my little click here. So it's nice and looks nice and centered. All right, so now let's print file 2 of 2. Again, range 2 of 2. Okay, let's do this. And now we already have 2 prototypes of our label, right? And now our third one will come out, and we'll have some variety already. And it only took us an hour. So All right, let's cut this one out real quick. We only have 2 minutes left. Okay. There we go. How are you liking this? Let me make a little close-up view for you guys. Hey, there we go. Cool, huh? And it only took us about an hour to make this design. Isn't that cool? Come on, camera. Come on. Come on. Okay, it doesn't want to get sharp. There we go. It's pretty cool. I think it could already work out. Anyway, guys, I want to encourage you all to practice all this stuff and to prototype at home when you're designing something. I think it's always very useful. Here in an hour, we've created 3 prototypes for a label. So, I mean, it's quick and dirty, as my teachers used to say in the design school. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in and for, you know, being here with me and hanging out. Hopefully we can connect on Instagram or just subscribe me on my channel here. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Bye bye.